Oh, good afternoon. Yesterday we start to read this very precious text, and as I mentioned yesterday, this text was actually composed specially for Tibetans. As we know already, more or less, at that time, during the 10th and 11th century, we had, Tibet had a great problem in order to proper practice of Buddhism in Tibet. Of course, everybody was and is very much affected by the delusions, but at that time, Tibetans in general, and especially Tibetan so-called Buddhist practitioner, wasn't in the position to practice proper way because of various aspects of ignorance, because of other delusions. They were very much involved with so many problems in order to explain Buddhism in a proper way and in order to proper understand of Buddhism. Especially, tantric practice was quite strongly, widely spreaded and widely practiced, and of course, mainly those practices were wrong way. So that means, in order to practice Buddhism in general, and especially if you would like to practice Tantra proper way, you must have, if it's possible, realization of Buddhist bodhicitta. Otherwise, you should have proper understanding, proper experience of bodhicitta. Those people who practiced at that time, I presume they didn't have a proper understanding of bodhicitta, and so therefore, Great Master Atisha was very much emphasized in his very first work, this lamrim dharma, the lamp of the path. So, however, the lamp of the path, right? So he was very much emphasized on bodhicitta, and he emphasized also very much about emptiness in this text. The emptiness is the soul of general Buddhist practice, and especially Tantra practice. Tantra teaching is not our subject, at least at this point, but still, we are talking about this matter, so I would like to explain just a few words. Every aspect of Tantra practice became out of the emptiness. Without having emptiness, there's no way Tantra practice. That means in Tantra, you need to be generated deity yogas. And all these deity yogas came out of the emptiness, or proper understanding of emptiness. So without having emptiness environment, or emptiness, better to say emptiness quality of emptiness, there's no any single Tantra practice. And then bodhicitta, as far as bodhicitta is concerned, Tantra practice regarded as a very strong, very powerful, very quick path. This quality of this quality is actually on due to the bodhicitta, because the bodhicitta is very powerful, and who has this mind, that means bodhicitta mind, is very much aimed to achieve Buddhahood as soon as possible. So therefore he or she took the certain method, which is Tantra. So Tantra is rely on or based on bodhicitta as well. Therefore, great Atisha emphasized mainly on bodhicitta and Tantra in this text. As a fundamental practice of bodhicitta as well as Tantra, of course, we need to have a further practice. And this practice, he explained more or less very briefly. He focused very strongly in this text according to Mahayana point of view. So therefore it comes, therefore bodhicitta and Tantra practice comes out in this text as main subject. As I mentioned yesterday, Atisha composed over 100 texts. Among these, few of them are very, very important, most important texts. And those texts are, some of them very much focused on the, may I say, behavior, I don't know, or bodhisattva conducts. Another one is focused on views, that means focused on emptiness. And this lamrim text is focused both conduct, bodhisattva conduct, and emptiness. This Atisha's text, lamrim, is actually root text of all lamrims, and maybe the name of lamrim came out of this text. Unfortunately, I forgot to bring with me a list of canonical texts which are specially source of lamrim. But however, the lamrim subjects are actually, of course, Atisha composed this text. Atisha collected all the main points from all Buddha's work and its commentaries, put all together and did it very simple way to practice. So this is actually lamrim. As Shantideva mentioned at the beginning of his Bodhisattva Chaya Avatara, there's nothing to say which is not to be said before. So likewise, our great master Atisha, he didn't say any new things, but he all main points from out of the canonical texts put together and made it very simple way to practice. The name of lamrim is in the later date maybe more known in the Gelugpa tradition, but generally speaking, the lamrim teaching is very widely spread all in Tibetan Buddhist traditions, and therefore many masters from the Nyingma Satya Kagyu and other Tibetan Buddhist traditions composed about lamrim. As far as I can find catalogs, there are about 134 different kinds of lamrims. There are many lamrim texts belongs to the composed by the Kajiva master as well as Satyapa and also Gelupas and also Nyamupas. So that means not only the Gelupa traditions. The way to teach, way to lead in the path of lamrim, they are different. They are different. Many of them start with so-called guru devotions and precious human beings, all these things. But some of them start with the impermanence, some of them start with Buddha nature, and some of them start with 3 jewels, taking refuge to the 3 jewels, and there are different possibilities. At the same time, I would like to say, for instance, Nyuma tradition and some other traditions less express on the fundamental practice of lamrim because it has something to do with the development of Buddhism in Tibet, I think. Because at that time, during the 8th century and probably 8th century throughout, the many students are somehow quite advanced. So they don't need that much focusing or emphasis on the fundamental practice. Instead of that, they'll be ready to accept, not only to accept, but to understand the high level of Buddhist practice. They'll be able to understand. They have a better and deeper, they have better capacities. So therefore, all masters more or less starts without great emphasis on basic teachings to show the essential Tantra teachings, such as Dzogchen. For example, sadhanas. If you read very old sadhanas, ancient sadhanas, it's really very, very short. Sometimes they just say in only a few words. For example, you generated this and that deities and recite mantra, finished. There's no further explanations. So that means those people who receive this sadhana do understand automatically that they have to generate emptiness first, and then they need to visualize or generate step by step from the different steps, through the different steps, and generate you yourself as deity, and you need to invite the wisdom beings, and all these details are more or less understood. So therefore, it's not necessary to explain all this in word. It's not necessary to put in the word. But the later composed sadhanas are very much extensive, and to put all instructions in detail. So if you read sadhana, you'll be able to meditate straight away without put by yourself something as addition. So you can find everything in this sadhana. Likewise, other texts and its commentaries also same. For example, I have here 2 different kind of texts. One is the root text of Atisah to this lamrim, and another text is his own commentary to this same subject. So if I read his own commentaries, it's not easy to understand, like a commentary the later dated. So therefore, it depends on the time. All in all, what I'm going to say is, it doesn't mean that if you practice the doctrine or the other very deep, very profound teachings, don't need to have a fundamental practice. It doesn't mean. You have to have, especially in our time, you have to have a very good fundamental practice, and if you feel fit in this subject, then you will be ready to practice higher tantra classes or any other higher practice. We all need to go step by step. We can't jump from the down to very high level. So now we are going to start to discuss with verse number 2, and it's this subject. This number 2 is concerning about three levels of abilities, 3 levels of ability. So that means those who are practice Buddhism, what kind of, do you have capacity in your mind? What kind of motivation? Are you really, do you have a very vast motivation, very advanced motivation, or just middling or intermediate motivation, or you have very limited motivation or limited capacity in your motivation? Atisha distinguished between these 3 different kinds of capacities, 3 different kinds of capacities or abilities. So first 2, those who are small or middling capacities are not how should I say, those people who have this capacity is not ready to practice Mahayana practice. So therefore, from here, he is going to distinguish who is right person to practice Mahayana and who are not. And he also mentioned in his commentary, it's concerning about number 1, as we have here, good people. So he said, good people does mean that who is very much focusing on Mahayana. That means bodhicitta. That means warm-hearted. So therefore, I am naming him as good people. He mentioned in his commentary, in Tibet, there are many people found misleading of the Mahayana practice. Many people doesn't have proper measurable masters. So therefore, they are fighting to each other, and they are thinking whatever they understood is correct, and they misinterpreted about Buddhist matters. So all these problems need to be solved. Therefore, Tibetan King Changshu requested me to clarify. Because of that, I'm writing this according to the sutras. So now, number 3 is those with limited capacity. So this is the lowest part of 3 part of lamrims. So lamrim is, generally speaking, there are only 3 parts. The part number 1 is focusing to those with limited capacity. The middle part is those with intermediate capacity, and the last and the third one is those with highest capacity, which is suitable for the Mahayana practice. So this limited capacity, the person who has limited capacity is only able to focusing to obtain the pleasure of samsara on behalf of his benefit. Actually, he's only be able to focus on only for his benefit. So within these sentences or verses, verse number 3, I need to explain from the right of the beginning to today's general lamrim up to the karma. So that means first is Guru devotion, second is precious human life, and third is impermanence. Number 4 is sufferings in the lower realms, and number 5, I think, it is taking refuge. Number 6 is karma. If you teach and if you study, of course you need to do one by one after another. But if you meditate, you need to put all together. So that means while you meditate on, for example, on precious human beings, you must get the idea of karma, idea of taking refuges, and suffering, different kinds of suffering, especially suffering in the lower realms, and impermanence as well. Everything you need to put together. Just a short example. Through my previous life, I accumulated so many different kinds of karma. Because of good karma, because of bad karma, I'm able to get this time as precious human beings. This I understood through the great kindness of my teacher. Through his teaching, I understood these conditions. But this condition is has no how should I say? It can be end within a short moment, but it also can be last long, a few weeks or a few months or a few years or whatever. But however, I have no certainties. And if I die, after that, also I must follow according to my karma. And through my karma, if I think and if I do this way, what I'm doing just now, my way of thinking is actually most time impure, incorrect. And those correct motivation, correct deeds are not full qualified to give good results. So therefore, there's also danger that I get lower realms as my next existence. The proper understanding of karma is only key point to correct all my wrong thinking. So through this channel, I can achieve as my next life, and human being as my next life. So this kind of way of meditation need to be done. That means all together. We have different lamrim texts. We have a different explanation about lamrim. But all these are just an example. So actually, we need to practice, we need to produce our own. So each of us have various different backgrounds, different experiences, different needs. So therefore, according to our needs, we need to produce lamrim by ourselves. These texts and outlines are just as guide. It is not necessarily, sometimes it's of course for us useful, such as certain lamrim texts to learn by heart and recite this and follow this text. But too much grasp on the subject, on the text, is also a hindrance, because the lamrim practice need to be very lively done, right? We have some idea out of the text, out of the explanation, but many explanations are only adjust to the Tibetan circumstances during several hundred years ago, or even over 50 or 60, 70 years ago. But now time has changed. We have different problems, different needs. So therefore, we should be changed according to our capacity and our needs. Generating deity yogas named as artificial practice, artificial yoga. So that means it's not comes automatically for genuine, but we need to generate by ourselves. We fabricate by ourselves to think, to imagine. We need imagination. Without having, you can't practice deity yoga at the first. But such lamrim, it's a total difference. It's very genuine. It's a focus from the nature positions. They focus on the reality. So therefore, I'm always saying the lamrim practice is not else as our own biography. It's quite similar doing business, right? And in order to do business, you must understand what kind of a capacity do you have, how much money do you have at the first, and what kind of ability. So that means from the study point of view, intelligent or whatever. So whether am I ready to, or good, whether I'm good to do some business. And then what kind of possibilities are there from the business world, and how big business can I do? What are the chances? What are the hindrances? Which way should I do in order to get more profit? And when should I do? All these different facts need to be applied at the proper time and the proper way. Atisha start with the Buddha and the Atisha and other many masters, knowing that are conditions. So therefore they explained as far as their capacity to explain our way of life, our possibilities. But at the end, we need to make judgment. Whether am I correct person to do this practice or not. These explanations, lamrim, are just like you can use as a mirror. We are using mirror in order to remove some problems in your face or your clothing or whatever, right? If you see you yourself in the mirror, so that you can correct by yourself. So according to like this, you can see this lamrim or any other Buddhist scriptures. You can find your wrong thoughts. So as soon as you see these wrong thoughts, or you understood these wrong thoughts, you should do correct. You should apply corrections. So that means we shouldn't, when we meditate, we shouldn't think, oh yes, Atisha said like this and Tsongkhapa said like this. But you should think, or we should think that whether am I in this position or not, according to this explanation. At the end, and literature says that we achieve a very precious human beings. So now I have to think by myself whether it's really very precious life that I have, or it's not precious. What does it mean precious? Why I am interested in Buddhism? Without, what will happen without having Buddhist explanations or Buddhist teachings? Why do I have generally or basically certain spiritual method? Why I'm interested in such a method? Am I not satisfied with my life, with my very life? What kind of pressures or what kind of difficulties? So all these things to be made clear in order to understand, to identify your human life, whether it's precious, whether it's very valuable or not. Atisha said in, 7 points of mind trainings, right? He said, this time you must mainly practice. So he emphasized very strongly this time. He didn't say you practice mainly this and that, but this time. So that means during our very lifetime, need to really achieve proper certain way or certain. We need to reach certain stable way. So that means this is very, very important. This is the chance. This is the chance. So therefore, it shows us a very important chance. At the same time, this is also for us very, challenging. This life is very challenging. If we are talking about challenging and chance, so that means you need to think very carefully what are the possibilities, what are the hindrances in our life. The hindrances are delusions, such as attachment, such as anger, such as jealous and many, of course, ignorance, but ignorance wouldn't appear very obviously. It wouldn't appear very obvious. It's remain behind and produce many other different kinds of delusions. But mainly we are involving with attachment and anger and jealousy and many other aspects of delusions, right? So therefore, this is challenging. If we are watching in our life stories, we always followed after our concepts, which are delusions. The delusions come out. We never try to stop or just break or not even put in questions. But we just followed according to the tendencies of the delusions, such as hatred, such as attachment, right? We always following after our anger and after our attachment. We try to achieve or fulfill what they wish it. They are in the sense of attachment and other delusions. So therefore, now it's a chance to try to put down or apply a break. So this is the challenge and this is a chance to follow our concepts, become as some kind of habit. But it's not the nature of mind. The delusions, all delusions, especially attachment, heats, are not nature of our mind. If it's the nature of our mind, so that nature is nature, you can't do anything. So you must live like that. But it's the only problem that we could overcome, that we can solve it. But of course, it's not easy at all. But however, we can solve this problem. We can avoid from these problems. We can remove all these concepts. Of course, we have certain fixed outlines of way of meditate on this subject. But I think if we follow too much strictly according to these outlines, but it might become very stiff practice. So we need to have a very lively practice. So therefore, sometimes, of course, you can follow according to the explanation or outlines, but mainly you need to make you yourself, or you must find by yourself some other ideas in order to proper understanding of your life. I wouldn't say even your precious life, but your life. So through this study, you will find whether your existence is it really precious one or not precious one. So we can find later. Buddhist practice is not based on blind faith, but it's belief according to a belief after your proper understanding through logical way of thinking. This is the main key point of Buddhist proper understanding of Buddhism. So well, I think that's enough only for showing example, how you meditate. How could you meditate about your very life? This proper understanding of your existence, you will get another idea that you would like to do very beneficial things for yourself. And you can't wait in order to achieve these beneficial aims, because your lifetime has no certainty. Of course, everybody is thinking that our life, each of us, our life will end in certain time. No one thinks, I may live forever. No one think like this. But most of us, or many of us, thinking, I may live long or longer than this, longer than 1 year, 2 year, or 10 year, whatever. So this kind of sure we all have, which is actually there's no base to have us to be sure. Many of us thinking that for the time being we are very busy with our works, so therefore we don't have much time to practice properly. But I must practice when I reach my pension time. But this is really very, very uncertain things. So many people immediately before or after their pensions, so they'll finish their life. This is also, yes. So that means, actually, if you think this way, so you didn't understood Dharma practice the proper way. As I mentioned many times, wherever I teach, there are two ways of Dharma practice. One way, Dharma practice, you can and you have to practice in 24 hours. Another one is formal practice, such as meditation, such as doing prostration or recitation, texts or mantras, whatever. These are formal practice. The formal practice are, of course, very useful as additional, as a very supportive practice for your Dharma practice. But main Dharma practice is belongs to your very life in 24 hours. Good Dharma practices start right at the beginning. As soon as, for instance, if you meet someone, you show your very friendly face and smile face from your heart. This very good Dharma practice. And at the same time, there are many possibilities to communicate with various places, various occasions to the people, to sentient beings. So we need to do it properly. This is always good Dharma practice. When we are alone, we need to think on our motivation, on our way of thinking. If we have a wrong thought, wrong concept, we need to try to correct. This is also very good Dharma practice. I will explain 10 more minutes, and after that we will have a 15 minutes break, and then after that we can do some question and answer. And so therefore, if you are living with very with awareness and watching on your mind, watching on your speech, watching on your other deeds. So it affects through your nights, during your nights. And because of this night and sleeping time can also become good deeds or effects from the good deeds. For example, if you are sleeping with some wrong thoughts, and then at the moment you are sleeping, and the whole this night sleeping affected by the wrong thoughts, or affected, yes, wrong thoughts. So therefore we need to avoid all this kind of bad habit. It's very important to have a very good motivation in the morning, every mornings, and at the evening you need to recall for the past time and whether you lived in the proper way or not. If yes, you can rejoice. You can rejoice, and otherwise, so you can think that you are going to do better tomorrow than today. So through this way, you can live better day by day. You can correct day by day, more and more. According to Buddhist point of view, everything is related with law of causalities. So therefore, whatever we are doing, it will produce some good or bad. So therefore, if we will be good enough to correct our mind, so we will not accumulate bad deeds. So therefore, we couldn't experience such as lower realms as in the next lives. What do you understand about the lower realms? It's according about your mental dispositions. And in fact, I think we can say the lower realms or general many lives are belongs to or existed through certain experiences. It is not necessarily existed according to traditional way of explanations. But however, there are certain experience, life with certain very bad experiences. According to His Holiness Dalai Lama's explanation, we can see there's the hell beings, but there's no hell beings according to descriptions, literatures. But there are some kind of, on the basis of experience environment. To protect this danger in order to reborn in certain lower realms is taking refuges. About this subject, we will explain another days. Atisha explained some about taking refugees or refugees, three jewels, and he didn't mention that precisely about karma, but we can understood that according to his explanation in general, it comes across very often about the karmas. So that much for the first part of the lamrim, which is focused on the limited, those with limited capacity. Thank you. So now we'll have a 15 minutes break and then question and answers.
A way of understanding attachment is not nature of our mind.
Yes. Is this the way of understanding? Is not.
Yeah. Is this
Not nature. Yes.
So the answer is yes.
I don't think that you need to translate. So.
Okay, so the next question. Can Rinpoche give a brief in view of the time constraint, can Rinpoche give an explanation of what is obstruction to omniscience? Obstruction to
Concentrate.
No, this one is like he's saying that due to short timing that we have, can Rinpoche give a brief explanation of obstruction to omniscience?
Okay. So, someone asked me to explain short what is the obstruction of omniscience. So, if you ask directly about the obstruction of omniscience, is oh God, what's the word in English? I forgot all my English words, so I can't find. So, imprints, that's right. Imprints of defilement. This is the direct obstruction of omniscience. If we are talking about according to Mahayana bhumis, Bodhisattva bhumis, right? There are 10 bhumis. And as soon as you reached 8th bhumi or end of 7th bhumi, you removed all defilements. From the 8th onward, you are starting to overcome from the remove impermanence of defilements. Therefore, first 7 bhumis known as unpure bhumis, and last 3 pure bhumis. Okay.
Okay, the next question is there any difference between two people who have done the same amount of good deeds? One person has taken refuge and one person has not taken refuge.
Yes, there are differences. Because both of them, for example, both of them didn't kill animal. The same deeds, that means not killing. But one has on the based on the taking refuge or bodhisattva vows, other hasn't. So because of good motivation, because of determination, it makes much more powerful. Even not doing, it's not as passive as we can see, but it's actually more powerful.
Okay, the next question. My father always says that as long as one does good things and bear no hatred and do no harm, then one sleeps at night. One's conscience is clear. It is good enough. How true is this?
What's this?
Hatred.
Okay. It is true. It is very true. But we shouldn't think this is the only way to do it. It's also similar to the first question, I think, or somehow related with the first question. So that means if you have some determination in your mind, then it's the effect is much more powerful than as you passive, doing nothing and just be good heart and whatever. Do you understand me what it means? Yes.
Okay,
What I'm thinking is no problem. Doing nothing harmful, just keep very clear mind. It's very good, but there's also other things can be done, which is even better. So therefore, it's as additional. One should do more additional good motivation and taking vows or whatever. What I mean is, according to your father's idea is fantastic, but it can be too passive, or better to say, it can be better than that. Mm-hmm.
Okay, another question is, who is Geshe Kelsang Gyatso? Published a few books, and I was told to destroy his book. Why?
Mm-hmm. Where is it? Yes. Yeah. Who is the Geshe Kelsang Gyatso? Well, he is, my answer will be maybe some people find very funny, but he is somewhere from Central Tibet, and came from Central Tibet, but I never met him personally. I saw him just for the long distance. And the Buddhist, he published a few books. One of his complete Buddhist path, yes, Enlightenment, Jove path, and then he was told to destroy the book. I was told to destroy his book. Why? Well, this is quite difficult questions, some delicate questions, and the reason why people told him to destroy his book is, of course, something to do with another matters, which is nothing to do with Buddhist practice itself. So whether his Buddhist book to destroy or not, this is very difficult to make judgment. So therefore, I would like to leave your own decision. In Buddhist literature, especially from the great master Tsongkhapa, mentioned one should to be able to distinguish between a good explanation and wrong explanations. So that means you must have certain intelligence to distinguish which is good, which is bad. So that means we need to have generate more intelligence in able to distinguish. Among the Buddha's word, we need to also distinguish some of his words, some of his teachings. We need to, we shouldn't to understand wordly without interpretation. So that means we have to interpret his explanation, even Buddha's word. But because of that, I try to start again. in order to make distinguish Buddha's word, of course we need to have also certain intelligence. And it's not the right way because of some Buddha's teaching specially aimed or focused to the lower vehicle person. We can't say whole Buddha's teaching is not suitable. That also will be incorrect, I think.
Okay, the next question is, Buddhism therefore teaches an individual to take responsibility for themselves. Can we blame karma for our own for failures, or if anything goes wrong, can we blame karma?
Can we blame karma for our
failures?
own?
Our failures.
Failures means?
Things not successful, things that we do, or things fail.
Okay. Or if anything
goes wrong, can we blame karma?
Buddhism therefore teaches individual. Buddhism therefore.
Maybe Buddhism teaches one person to take responsibility for our own selves.
Mm-hmm.
So can we blame karma for failure when things go wrong and things don't go as we wish? If anything goes wrong, can we blame karma? Like a lot of people easily like to say, oh, karma.
Well, this is a bit complicated, I think. So, however, from I only can say from one point of view. So, in that case, whether you are talking about blame or not, it's on due to your own karma. That's correct. So, therefore, because you are certain karma, it's affected in our very life like this. Am I right?
Next question. I'll be starting work soon, and the work schedule is such that I work a 6-day week, and I only have a weekday off. Hence, I can't attend Buddhist pujas or teachings. So, what can I do in my private practice, for example, meditation or recitation, that will be able to intensify my merits to achieve Buddhahood, gain realizations with the very little time that I have?
As I mentioned earlier, our main Buddhist practice based on the 24 hours daily life. So therefore, if you have such a very demanded and responsibility job and occupied 6 full days. So this is actually wonderful opportunity because I'm sure you're not working, you're alone, but you're with others. So therefore, this is also a very good challenge for you. And so you got a good chance to practice whole 6 days. As additional practice, additional formal practice. So then it depends on your capacity, your ability, and your inclination. So that means if you feel not too tired, so every morning, every evenings, you can do something, even it's 15 minutes or half an hour. And then maybe on the 7th day, you can also do some more reading practice and some formal practice. But it depends on your capacity. But main focus is, as I mentioned, it's a very, very important, all of us, to taking care in our daily life.
Okay, the next question here is it true to say that the path of the small scope does not focus on removing one's ignorance at all?
Does it means no through the small scale or scope? That the path was so small does not focus on removing. If I understand it properly, it's not depends on big scope or small scope, but it depends on the subject or matter that you practice. Whether it's antidote, whether it's antidote of ignorance or not. This depends on the matter.
So, okay, the next question here is compassion without attachment or compassion without the grasping or clinging, especially with one's closest kin, loved ones, or best friends. So, could Rinpoche please kindly explain or guide us here on the above topic? Thank you.
This is the subject that we'll explain next days. So we will discuss next time.
Okay, so the next question is story. My grandmother is 85 years old. She's a devoted Buddhist but has not taken refuge. If she falls ill, or when she gets older and dying, and if she is forced to convert to another religion before she dies, in what way can I help my grandmother that she can continue to have the blessings of all the Buddhas so as she will have a good rebirth?
Is she forced by?
If. Because she's 85 years.
So I don't think this is a big problem. This is because of age, because of other hindrance, some kind of distractions, maybe distractions of our viewpoints of view, not for herself. This is one question. Another question is, as long as she has open mind in order to become good human beings, become good life in next lives, and so on. So there will be great chance to get also some kind of blessings from the Buddhas. The reason why I'm thinking about this, all Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, are engaged very much on this matter. Their activities not depends on our own attitude, whether we are Buddhist or not. But all Buddhas, Bodhisattvas focus everyone, all sentient beings, without making distinguish between religions. But if she has good link to the three jewels, which way it's ever, never mind, so it will be great help to get better blessings, more blessings. Because blessings are also dependent. So last question.
This question is that everybody has got that kind of relationship.
Everybody has?
Some sort of relationship, yeah? Like with a boy, a girlfriend, or
Okay.
couple, that kind of relationship, yeah? And then, so when you face this kind of relationship problem, what's the good way, you know, to deal with relationship problem? Second question is that...
Which way?
Yeah, what is the best way, I think, you know, to deal with the relationship problem?
Okay. Then
Second question is that what kind of karma, you know, did a couple create from past life, you know, to make them to become couple this life?
yes. The second question is which kind of a karma for a previous life?
Yeah.
And
For two people to become couple in this life.
Yes.
And then third question is that for a Buddhist practitioner, you know, which way is better, to be single person or to have a partner?
Yes. You can't make a judgment whether it's good to be single or whether good to be in pair or whether it's to have 2, 3, 4 wives or men. It's actually, I mean, this more or less a joke, but whether you have a partner or a single life, it depends on how much you are serious to do benefit for all sentient beings. Whether if it's really very benefit to have a partner, then it's much better than single life. But sometimes it's single life is more benefit. So then it's in that way, in that case, the single life is better. So this one question, one answer. Mm-hmm. Our karma is very multicolored karma. There are many different kinds of experiences because of different karmas. So through the certain group of good karmas, especially collective karmas, both of you became as partner. So this is a wonderful thing. But at the same time, through the bad karmas, so from time to time you are facing, unfortunately, you are facing to some differences. So, however, it is good to watch your own mind very carefully, and you shouldn't search faults only by the others, but we must search our fault in our mind. This is my own responsibility, our own responsibility. It's not correct to point out the finger to the others, always, right? So everybody, nobody is perfect. Everybody doing some wrong things. So therefore, I'm responsibility for my life, and you are responsible for yourself, each of you. So therefore, if we taking care individually, the life will be quite nice. Thank you very much, and have a good evening. So now please, the dedication.